Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's video I'd like to look at how the markets unfolded yesterday. This is the USE minis and yesterday was Monday the 21st of May. Very interesting day yesterday. As you can see, the markets rallied strongly. For those of you who are trading standard setups, there were, for example, if I'm looking at the 3-minute chart of the NQ, we did have a sell set up here. I'm just analysing. You can see that would have just taken you in for a short trade, then stopped you out for a -1 hour loss. Remember, we use correct position sizing to keep the losses small and under control. The STF then turned blue, which means the trend was up. Then there was a TS2 buy setup here that did actually get past the 100% initial risk level, so you may well have brought your stop to break even, but if you hadn't, let's take a worst case scenario here, you would have been stopped out for another losing trade. Again, position sizing kept that small and under control, so that would have been another -1 hour loss. Then there was a TS3 buy setup, and this is a good example because it shows you how powerful correct position sizing is. Because this trade setup went with us, went up to our first target, and here you can see the profit was +3R. In other words, 3 times the initial risk. So even though yesterday on this small sample you would have had 2 losing trades and only 1 profit, the profit was far greater than the losses, and that's what made money for you overall. So a great example of how keeping your losses small by using correct position sizing is absolutely vital when you're trading. But that's not what I really wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about is a trade setup that I looked at in yesterday's training webinar, and that was on the Russell Index. What we did is we started with the 15-minute chart, as we always do. So if I drag this back and go to before yesterday opened, you can see we had a pivot low here. If I right mouse click, do analyze set, right mouse click, do decision point, you can see we had a decision point level for support. Now this was on the chart before the market even got there. That is the important point, is this is a leading indicator. It's there before the market gets there. If I scroll forward, you can see how that the market opened there, came down, then that nailed the very low of the day for you, and then the market rallied strongly off there. If we come to a 3-minute chart, you can see we actually had an automatic DP buy at that same level as well. And what I'll actually do is I'll just change this to a 15-minute chart. I'll then put that same decision point on there. I'll then go back to a 3-minute chart so we can have that 15-minute level on our chart as well, so we can see where it is. There it is, you see. So that 15-minute level came on off this pivot here. But the important point is if I put the session break lines on, you can see this is where the market opened. If I scroll forward a bit more, this is where the market opened here. The market came down. It then gave us an automatic DP buy setup. Now this is against the red STF, and this is a good example, and is what I was talking about in yesterday's training webinar. It's a good example of how advanced traders could override the STF color when we get larger degree support and resistance by our DP levels, which we have here. So this was a very clear example that we had a 3-minute setup in a 15-minute support zone. So let's take a look at this and see how it unfolded. Market would have gone up to the first target here of where there would have been a nice plus 2.7 hour profit. However, because the market here was coming off a larger degree support zone, let's put where the larger degree target would have been, and this is what I did in yesterday's webinar. So the larger degree target would have been off this level here. So I'll just go back to the 3-minute chart now and see where that is. Just rescale these again. So there we were. Oops, just drag that across a bit and zoom in a bit so we can see it. So here was our automatic DP trade, but this 15-minute target was a lot higher. If I just want to drag that across. Well, my mouse is a little bit wobbly here. So rather than coming out at the first target, we'd look to have this second target here as our area where we're heading for. And as you can see, up there would have been a potential would have been a potential 6.5 hour. What I suggested is you could have either looked to take profit at that level, or, because if I look at the STF was very strong at this point, you could have used our ATR stop to trail it. And that would have mean you would have actually had slightly less profit if I dragged this down and got stopped out at about there, but still you'd have had a very nice 5.7 hour profit. So this was the main training aspect for yesterday, in that we had a very nice automatic DP buy, but the point being is that it coincided with the large degree 15-minute support. That allowed you to take a trade off what was the very low of the day yesterday and came up into the first large degree target, where you would have started trailing with the ATR stop for a very nice 5.7 hour profit. So that puts into perspective yesterday, where on the standard trade setups we had some small controlled losses, as we've seen for example on the NQ, but the profits were actually larger than the losses, so that puts you in profit for the day overall. However, the real trades yesterday were using the advanced techniques, particularly by putting the 15-minute DPs on our chart in advance, which is what we always teach people to do, and then taking trade setups in the direction of those. And as you can see, a very nice buy setup off the very low of the day yesterday for a very good profit, again using correct position sizing.